Amen. All right. So yeah, they define health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So this is like what Pastor said earlier. Not just because you don't have any physical symptoms, that doesn't mean you're healthy. Mentally, are you all right? Socially, in your interactions with people, are you all right? And whenever I read this, whenever I see this definition, it always reminds me of Luke 2:52, which was my favorite verse for a while back in medical school. It says, Jesus, at this point, I don't even need IT anymore. Jesus grew and increased in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God and man. IT, next slide. Amen. So yeah, if you look at the World Health Organization definition of what being healthy is, and they say it's being physically fine, being mentally okay, basically, and being socially okay. Then this here goes another step by saying being spiritually okay, by saying that Jesus physically he grew, wisdom mentally, yeah, favor with God spiritually, and favor with man socially. By having a healthy lifestyle, we should also think that not just avoiding diseases, eating healthy, staying healthy, but also our mental health is important and also our social well-being. Amen. Next. Now, this is a really important slide for us as I'll soon be rounding up. This is who to contact for health issues. Hope you're all registered with the GP here. You're registered with the GP, right? But at that, it looks like you're not sure. Are you registered with the GP? All right. Yeah. Be registered with the GP. It does not mean it's like having insurance. You don't buy insurance helps you when you need them, but you don't go to get insurance with the hope of getting into an accident. Ideally, you don't even want to get into an accident. Same thing with the GP. You don't register with the GP with the hope of falling sick or getting ill. But in case, have a GP. So if you're feeling generally unwell, need like a checkup, don't go to your GP every time. They have a lot of people to see
Praise the Lord.
that are really
Praise the
sick.
Lord.
But if you feel like you need to see a GP, it's fine, go. If you need what's called health advice, something that is urgent but not an emergency, you call
Praise.
111. Do you know the difference between something that's urgent and something that's emergency? For instance, if you measure your blood pressure at home and it's reading 180 or maybe 190, but you don't have any headache, you don't have any chest pain, you feel okay, your vision is okay, that's urgent because your blood pressure is high. If you're having a really bad headache, your vision is getting blurry, right? You're having chest pain, and your blood pressure is high, then that's emergency. That will help us with the division. So if it's something that is non-emergency for physical, medical, and mental health as well, you can give a call to 111. And if something that's emergency, we see this as things that are life-threatening, right? Yeah, you give a call to 999 or just go to the emergency department. Amen. And I think that slide should be a summary slide. So yeah, Third John chapter 1. It's only one verse. So Third John verse 2. He says, Behold, beloved, I pray that you prosper in all things and be in health, just as your soul prospers. Shows that God is invested not in, he's interested not in our spiritual life as well, but also in our physical life. He's interested in every part of us. And things that can also help apart from, because what I've been talking about mostly was what we call primary prevention. So I don't know if you're aware of primary, secondary, tertiary prevention. So basically, primary prevention is preventing the disease or an illness from happening. This involves like being healthy, staying healthy, eating healthy, right? What's it called? Avoiding high risk activities like abstaining from smoking or from high risk behaviors. Primary prevention. Primary prevention prevents disease from happening. Then we have secondary prevention. Secondary prevention involves like screening, identifying the disease in a really early phase where you can intervene. And then tertiary is when this has already happened and it's preventing complications of the disease. Yeah. So this primary prevents from happening, secondary, identifying in early phase, And then tertiary is when it's already established, but just to prevent complications. So now on the tertiary, we're going to talk about screening. So in this country, there are different. Each country has its own set of things they do for that screening. Just make sure that you're up to date with the screening and then vaccination, including COVID vaccine, flu vaccine. There are a lot of anti-vaxxers here, and it's interesting how they try to turn the scriptures to mean what it's not meant to mean. By Bible says, "By His stripes you are healed." Bible says, "To give unto Caesar what is Caesar's." When they came to ask him, when they came to, because I mean, it's not today that people started, trying to be wise with the Bible. They have been asking, they've been trying to when they come to ask Jesus these things, the Bible says they come to tempt him. Because if Jesus was alive, I'm sure people come and meet him and ask him that should we be vaccinated, even during the COVID time. Jesus was say, he said that my meat is to do the will of God. He has given unto the sons of men. Now, there's a lot of politics regarding the whole vaccine, like what company gets to provide the vaccine, how the disease COVID exactly comes up. But then again, there's the law of the land, and then in as much as we believe in God, and that is the most important thing, right? Flu vaccine, polio vaccine back in the day, they've been shown, they have medically proven to have worked. So, like it was saying, if it's working, why fix it? So yeah, I'm just advised to stay up to date with your vaccines and then screening, health screening. Amen. Thank you all for your time. Any question in the meantime?
Thank you. Yeah. Any question for Dr. Joshua?
Dear doctor, thank you very much for the presentation. You mentioned that we should not always go to the GP. Are you trying to are you trying to defend your profession? You are trying to reduce pressure that we don't come around to disturb you guys if you have issues. Like, so are you sharing your sentiments? All right. Did you get my question?
Yes, I understand. Like you say, we
Okay.
should always go to the GP. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay. One, there are a lot of advice on the NHS website. So sometimes before you go to the GP, you check the website and see because there are a lot of questions you have that can be answered on exactly. If you have common illness, like for instance, people who are constipated, go on the website, gives you advice. You need to go see your GP for these things. You have a rash, have a quick look. And when you don't see the answer on the website, or when you see the answer on the website and you still don't understand it, I need further help, then you can go and see your GP for that. Because it's like, for instance, now you driving, for instance, in this country to get a paint job or anything, it's a lot of money. So if there is a little scratch on the car, you don't always run to the mechanic to go and do it. But because here the GP is free, a little headache, you're in the GP. You get and no, you pay for it to your health surcharge. Yeah, but I'm talking about people who are not like either who are working or have their you understand exactly. So they tend to abuse it because it's free. It doesn't mean that everyone that goes to the GP is abusing it. No, a lot of people who go there for legitimate reason. But when you work in that sector, you find out that a lot of times these services are being abused. Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm not saying that from a sentimental point.
Just to add to that, you see, there are serious people that needs the GP, and there are other people that don't really. It's not really a GP thing. Like maybe having a headache. Like you talked about, if it doesn't have any sort of your heart is not heavy and your vision is not blurry. Probably want to start with paracetamol first, or just observe what has happened because there are people that really need the GP services, because one thing I've noticed with A&E is that sometimes the doctors may not be available. So they may be attending to very serious case and you find out they can reorder the thing so that if yours is less urgent or not life threatening, you probably
Yeah.
wait longer. So why not just yeah, so that's how it works. So the GP will really need to be attending to people that their cases are really urgent or life threatening. Yeah. So I have one question, and I'm thinking about symptoms. At what time does the symptom really manifest itself? Is it at that stage? Is it late? Let's say, for example, swollen leg, or at what stage is that primary? That won't be primary. That would be probably like
Okay, so like basically when to know how to when to seek medical help regarding the symptoms.
yes. So when symptom comes, I
Yes.
know it's a very broad question. Maybe you can give it context. At that time, is it late,
Okay.
or is it at early stage?
All right. So one, it depends on the organ that's been affected. Some organs are a bit more in your face than other organs. And what I mean by that is that if someone has like a stroke, you're gonna see the weakness, the facial droop, the slurred speech. Sometimes, depending on the part of the brain affected, you see the symptoms while it's happening. If someone has like a heart infection, am I? You see the chest. You have the chest pain mostly, except they have like maybe some cases diabetes or some neuropathies when they don't have the chest pain, but they have other symptoms as well. So it depends on the organ. Organ like the kidneys, for instance. Some people are just walking around with an AKI, that's an kidney injury. They feel fine until they do the blood test and they find out that your kidneys are off. So it depends on the organ. Again, even the legs as well. Some people have a clot in their legs, so then they have like the leg gets swollen, gets red, gets painful. Get while some other. So one, it depends on the organ, and it depends on how long it takes to progress. So meaning that if someone who has maybe an acute like emboli, so like a blood clot, you're going to have the symptoms sharp. But if it's like cases where it slowly grows over time, then you might not have the symptoms like that. So it depends on the organ, depends on the onset of the organ as well.
For cancer,
Yes.
what stage does cancer begin to manifest itself?
So now again, I will just use an organ. This is the lungs. Now there are different types of cancers that happen that someone can have in the lungs. Some cancers like small cell cancer, for instance, this type of cancer they metastasize fast, right? So by the time you're seeing it, most times it's in the later stage. And then it also depends on where the cancer is. So if something is growing in the periphery, it's not causing any symptoms, it's just there having fun growing. It's different from something growing more central that point out you're coughing out blood. And also organs like ovaries, for instance, because of where they are located, they can there can be a cancer there, but there's no structure around it, and they start growing and taking a long time before you start feeling the symptoms. But then if a cancer of the skin, once it's there, you start seeing it already. So yeah, location as well also affects them.
At what age would you recommend a general routine health check?
Okay. So that's if I'm influenced by one, the family history. So someone who has like a family history of colon cancers, for instance, in maybe their parents or siblings at a younger age need to go get checked earlier than someone who doesn't have any risk factors in that case. Someone who's had like a risk factors of having like maybe their parents had like MI, myocardial infarction, at a really young age should get checked early. Although some countries tend to have a screening at probably 50, 60, colonoscopy and all of this. One, it depends because this is a burden on the resources and also sustainability as well. So can you maintain it for a long time? The population also has to get jackpot, has to be factored in these things. But then again, if there's something you're concerned about, like I said, if you are coming from a family that's at early age, your dad or your mom or your uncles had these symptoms, it's good to get that checked up early. And then also if you're having like physical symptoms yourself, like maybe you're always having chest pain, always having headache, always feeling dizzy, it's good to have a routine check. So
You said on one of the slides that I think you said something like your health routine should be tailored to you
your
specifically.
diet, yes.
How do you know the perfect routine
All
for
right.
yourself?
That's a really good question as well. Thanks you all for your questions. So now it depends on one, your goals, two, your overall health health function and status. If you're my, an example now, my brother is a bodybuilder. His diet is different to most other people's diets. I do a lot of football. My diet is a bit different from other people's diet. Now, if you're not into any form of physical activity in specific, there are always this generic advice of eat food rich in fibers, low in calories, have a balanced diet with the amount of protein, fat, water, minerals, and all of this. and the physical activity too as well. Like we put there the minimum. I didn't put any maximum because some people might be Olympic athletes. Their maximum is dependent on the the field that the sport that they're doing. So, but then again, you should be able to at least do your physical activities without any form of restriction. You know, if you meet a physiotherapist, they always have this advice on how much someone should be able to lift. So they say that you should be able to squat about once or twice your body weight, and you should be able to lift. Yeah, they have for male and female. Yeah, but here we are not here to teach you how to do sports because that would be a different topic. But like what you mentioned, but for most people who just need to stay fit for their day-to-day physical activities, right? Advice is to stop smoking if you're smoking, reduce or stay off alcohol. You know, we put the minimum requirements for physical activities and a healthy diet. So avoid food high processed food. Try and eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. Try and stay hydrated. Really important. You find out how much problem is caused by people not drinking enough water, which is interesting. So yeah, does that in a way answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Let me just ask one more question, and that's all. Why are certain diseases associated with certain regions?
That's a really good
So,
question
what
as well.
sort of what's research finding out in that
All
sense?
right. So one by location location one. So the endemic of the other, I'll say the ecosystem of that region. So now a place like Nigeria that tends to have a lot of malaria, you understand, because of the region and the flies we have. You know, some other place like Tanzania or even in like Gambia, there's higher risk of like just a fly people having this sleeping sickness. So that's infectious diseases. Now, going other side of the chronic illnesses, developed countries where there is like burger place at every corner. It won't be surprising that there's an endemic of obesity. When most of the work people do is sit on a desk, operate a computer, on their way home they get some fast food. Of course, when you don't have that much physical activities, there's going to be higher risk of this obesity, this diabetes and stuff. When a country like where the economy is so poor that you can even afford these things, and you have to run around, like maybe still stay in a place like maybe Lagos, and you're living in the island, and you're working in the mainland, and you have to wake up at this time, you're going to have stress, it increase your risk of hypertension. It's a family issue. It may increase your risk of diabetes, but you're this you might not be obese. Yeah, you get. So then again, the diet, the lifestyle around that feature tends to uh, affect. Thank you very much, Amen.